Why don't we begin by giving a nice round of applause to the Fort Bend Symphony Orchestra. A very pleasant good evening to all of you and welcome. I'm Bill Balleza, anchor of News 2 Houston 6 and 10 o'clock news. Welcome to the Houston Association of Hispanic Media Professionals Gala Event of the Year, Sylvan Rodriguez, a Man of Valor Banquet. Sylvan seated right up here. My co-host tonight is someone you already know. Our colleague, Maria Elena Salinas, network anchor of Noticiero Univision. Maria Elena.
Thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias, Bill. Muy buenas noches a todos y me da mucho gusto poder estar aquí con ustedes en esta noche tan especial para rendir honor a mi amigo Sylvan Rodriguez. Thank you, Bill. I'm so pleased to be here in Houston with all of you and with Sylvan this evening. And while we're honoring Sylvan tonight, of course, we are also honoring people who are going to take our jobs. Guess what? They're going to be taking our jobs someday. Aspiring journalists who have won HAHMP scholarships this year.
We want to thank all of you wonderful people for being here tonight to help us honor Sylvan Rodriguez. And from our perspective here, you look wonderful. You look beautiful. Thank you very much for being here. Give yourselves a big round of applause. If you're anything like the rest of us, you've gone through, many of you, quite a bit to be here tonight. We're not talking about the money that you've so generously donated to our scholarship fund. We're talking about the many of you who have traveled a long distance to be here tonight, and also to those of you who have traveled just a short distance but still had to drive through the Galleria traffic this evening.
Yeah, I've been here for the last couple of days, and I've been doing my show, Noticiero Univision, from here. And I've discovered the Galleria area is more or less like South Beach on a Friday night.
Well, Maria Elena, we tried to warn you, but you mentioned that you're doing your show here. This is a good time to thank Univision as well, because it wouldn't be possible to have Maria Elena here tonight were it not for Univision's support of our endeavors here. Not only are we honored to have you here, but we're thrilled that your network saw fit to feature our fair city. Why don't we give Maria and Univision a big hand as well.
Muchísimas gracias, muy amables. Muchas gracias, thank you. Okay, enough of self-congratulations. Let's thank the other people, of course, who are responsible for this fabulous night. Our sponsors, there's too many of them to mention up here at the podium. You've seen their names as you've entered the ballroom on the screens behind us, but we'd like to give special recognition to our major sponsors. They include our exclusive sponsors.
And they are Texaco, Continental Airlines, Aeromexico, Randall's, Reliant Energy HL&P, Southwestern Bell, Jack Daniels, Foley's, KTRK TV, KHOU TV, KXLN TV, KPRC TV, KRIV TV, KTMD TV, the Houston Chronicle, and Rice University.
Now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the president of this fine organization. Minerva Perez, whom I remember very well from our days in Los Angeles, has worked endless hours preparing for this extravaganza, making sure that all of you, of course, enjoy yourselves tonight. She and all of the board members, along with the scholarship committee, have selected the winners from a pool of students across a 5-county area. It is our hope, of course, and our sincerest desire that all of these applicants go on to be great journalists like Minerva. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you the president of HAHMP, Ms. Minerva Perez.
Buenas noches, good evening, everyone. Let me welcome you again to the Houston Association of Hispanic Media Professionals Sylvan Rodriguez, a Man of Valor Scholarship Banquet. Wow, look at all of you. It heartens me to see so many of our friends, of HAHMP's friends here, but it heartens me even more to see so many new faces come on board this year for our scholarship banquet. Just give yourselves a hand, please, for being here tonight, even though it's Friday night in this incredible traffic. For the new faces in the crowd, let me tell you a bit about our fast-growing organization. The Houston Association of Hispanic Media Professionals is a nonprofit group of journalists from many local media outlets who work together toward the goal of education. Every year, we give scholarships to young people who wish to join us in the field of communications. And tonight, we will give away $10,000 to 10 promising students from the Houston area. Since its founding in 1986, HAHMP has given over $100,000 in scholarship money, and HAHMP will not stop there. The group was born thanks to some of Houston's noted journalists, among them Fernando Dovalina of the Houston Chronicle, former Channel 48 and Channel 13 News Director Richard Longoria, Cindy Garza of Reliant Energy HLNP, Diana Solis of the Dallas Morning News, and Roland Galvan of KTLA TV in Los Angeles. In those early days, the struggle was real, the dedication complete, and the mission focused. That continues today. Sylvan Rodriguez was also one of HAHMP's pioneers. He, like the others, saw the need for more inclusion in the ranks of the mainstream media, and he led the way with Richard and Fernando and all the rest to see that journalists of the future were given a chance to compete. Because of that foresight, HAHMP continues to grow today. In the past couple of years, membership has doubled. We've broken records in the number of scholarship applicants. This year we had 72. And there is a new energy within HAHMP to reach its goals. The organization held its first bilingual education debate in October. Members participated in the Houston Hispanic Forum's Career Day. We held a successful Mexican Film Festival at Rice University, hosted a Christmas party for all the journalism organizations in Houston, participated in the University of Houston's Career Day, and now, as you can see tonight, we are holding the biggest banquet in the history of HAHMP, thanks to you. We have raised more than $100,000 in one night, and that's incredible. Please oblige me as I thank some of the HAHMP board members for helping make this happen, because it wasn't done alone. Vice President Cathy Longoria, Immediate Past President David Medina, Scholarship Chair Walt Balleza, Treasurer Jaime Zamora, Secretary Margaret Garcia, Student Liaison Valdemar Rodriguez, and Publicity Chair Grace Olivares, and of course, Joanne Zuniga, our NHJ Liaison. And there are so many others to thank. Member Rosemary Clark and Mary Alice Escobedo, who tonight we're going to make an honorary member because all she's done to help us in coordinating this event. Would you all please stand so that you can get recognition tonight, because all of us have worked together. Board members. María Elena, no sabes cuánto te agradecemos tu presencia. Todo lo que has hecho, todos los esfuerzos para estar aquí con nosotros, conmueve el corazón, toca el corazón. Muchas gracias. What I said was, I thank María Elena for coming all the way from Miami. She made great effort to be here to bring her international show here to Houston so she could be with Sylvan, and that's very special. You touch our hearts. John, when I talked to you about this project about 2 months ago, you said, I'll do anything. Just say the word. We said the word, and you came. And we thank you for all your friendship and your efforts to be here tonight. And there's more to come, because next year will be a big year for HAHMP. The National Association of Hispanic Journalists brings its annual conference to Houston. HAHMP is hoping for your generosity and community support to host the 4-day conference, which will attract 2,000 journalists from around the country to our fair city. And I'm talking journalists, news directors, special guests from all over the country will be here. As I told you, Sylvan Rodriguez has helped support NHJ for many years. He's also been a founding member of HAHMP. Sylvan has given 30 years to television broadcasting, and his achievements have been many. He recently was inducted into the Houston Hall of Fame, the first Hispanic to do so. For all he's done, we are honoring him tonight with HHMP's Lifetime Achievement Award. And of course, anybody who can stay in this business for 30 years deserves that, a medal, and a trip to Hawaii. But not from us. Sylvan, my friend, you are a class act. You've helped so many young people. Cindy Garza, the other Cindy Garza, Connie Barrera, just to name a few. You've been a big brother to all of us. You're truly an inspiration. You also are a good teacher because you teach us that it's not the task at hand, it's how you handle it. We're proud of you. There is so much to say about Sylvan Rodriguez, but that will have to wait until after dinner. But first, I'd like to bring up Father Frank Quesada from St. John Vianney Catholic Church with a blessing. Father Quesada.
Stand still when you, so that means you can stop eating and we can pray, or either way, it's okay, keep eating the salad. And so let us pray. Come, source of life, and be our counselor, our personal advisor, as we meet the numerous challenges of our days. The great and powerful are surrounded by their advisors who assist them in making important decisions. But we are simple people tonight without such wise counselors. Yet, even as simple people, we must make choices and decisions that will determine the course of our life and affect the lives of others. We too need guidance and wisdom. So come, be near us tonight over the choices also that we consider, our fraternity, our company. Remind us, friend and constant companion, source of all life, that life is indeed brief, and that tonight and its joys are fleeting and may never come our way again. Nudge us and remind us that the only truly important things in life are our relationships with God, with those we love, and with ourselves. Show to us that balance sheet which proves that those things we think important are seldom truly of importance, and those things we may think not important are truly the telling things of our short lives. Counsel us, teacher, in how time taken to drink in a sunset, to marvel at the butterfly upon the leaf, or the faces of children at play, how these times and others like them are more valuable than gold, or the most precious of jewels. Come, angel, source of life, bless our gifts, our food, our tables, our company. As always, bless the poor and the hungry. Guide us tonight in the choices in our life always. Amen. Okay, the forks can continue now. And may this salad serve as nice fiber. I'm going to continue to speak as you eat your salads. Last week at the Warwick, we were together, some of us, for the McDonald's Hispanic Scholarship Funding, and we were giving we have some recipients here tonight. Congratulations to them. And so it's a joy as an Hispanic leader of Houston to be here with you tonight, and be here in a special way on behalf of Bishop James Tamayo and the Diocese of Galveston-Houston and the church community of Galveston. I'd like to read to Sylvan that message from Bishop Tamayo. Dear Sylvan, we want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank you for all the work you have performed throughout all these years in the broadcasting services at KHOU TV 11 at the benefit of the community. You are an outstanding individual who leads an exemplary life, motivating your peers in activities which contribute to the good of the community. For your steadfast example, I ask God's continued blessings, and I pray that you may be sustained in your health to enjoy opportunities for visitations, reunions, gatherings such as this one with family and friends. I know God and His Blessed Mother will continue to watch over you during this time and always. With warm personal regards, I remain sincerely yours in Christ, Most Reverend James Tamayo. Sylvan. So I'd like to start with a brief story that I thought was kind of funny, and I hope you think it's just as funny. It goes like this. When the minister ended the long, dry sermon, he asked for the board of deacons to remain for a few minutes after the service. Among those who stayed was a man the preacher didn't recognize. "Sir," he said politely, "I asked that only the board remain." "Then that includes me," the man said. "I was never more bored in my life." Thought you would enjoy that. I'm going to try not to bore you. I'm going to be brief and to the point. Minerva had called on behalf of Bishop Tamayo's office about being here tonight on his behalf, and Minerva and I talked about what this occasion was and what it should be and so forth, and I stirred about her insights about tonight's gathering quite a bit, and I prayed about it and stuff. And then I did what every good inquisitive person does, or rebellious person does. I called Sylvan. I said, "Sylvan, I'm going to say a couple of things on your behalf and in your spirit and in your company, so I'd like to think what you think." And so we talked a little bit on the phone, and I had a wonderful conversation with Sylvan on the phone about his present condition, about his family, about his community, and so forth and so on. And I want to just simply tonight highlight and underline the man of valor that Sylvan is. And one of the words that constantly came up in our conversation yesterday was journey. That everything that is sent our way, in good times and in bad, for rich or for poor, in sickness and in health, is part of the journey. And that life deals with us and deals us so often, pieces and elements that perhaps we were not ready to receive or tackle, and yet somehow, some way, we are confronted with that, and we're given some inner strength to deal with it. That's called valor. To be able to say to someone or some event in our life, this is part of my journey, this is how I embrace it, and this is how I walk with it. And so Sylvan and I talked about how he's walking this journey, how he's doing it not alone, but with so many people around him to support him, to carry him on those eagle's wings and make him the man of valor that he is. Sylvan, we love you. We are praying with you. We're walking with you always. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I wonder if I could have your attention for just a moment. I hope you're enjoying the wonderful dinner this evening. We would like once again to acknowledge Dr. John Ricard, conductor of the Fort Bend Symphony Orchestra, and the orchestra for their beautiful music this evening. Thank you all very, very much for coming. We would also very much like to thank the JW Marriott Hotel and let them know how we really feel about their contribution to this marvelous night, because without them we simply couldn't have afforded to do this. Thank you very much to the hotel. And ladies and gentlemen, of course, there is one reason we are here tonight. We're here to honor a very special friend and colleague, Sylvan Rodriguez. You all know Sylvan from his many years on Houston television, first at Channel 13 and now at Channel 11. You know him because of his commitment to our community on the local, state, and national levels. And there would be no way to list everything that Sylvan has done for our community and for us. But there are some ways to thank him, and one of those ways will be done by our celebrated Mayor, Lee P. Brown. Mayor Brown?
Good evening. It's certainly my pleasure and honor to be here tonight on this very, very special occasion. I'm also very delighted that one of my colleagues on the City Council, Felix Fraga, is here as well. And in addition, it's good to see my good friend Sylvia Garcia, our City Controller, here this evening. And I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to participate in this tribute to my friend Sylvan Rodriguez, who truly is a man of Valor. If many of you are like I am, you would admit that when 12 noon rolled around, often we'd stop what we're doing, grab a sandwich, and turn the TV to channel 11 to watch the news with Sylvan Rodriguez. You know that whatever was happening, Sylvan would tell you, and if he didn't tell you, then it wasn't news. His dedication to his profession and to our community is legendary. Over the years, he's given time and money to young students who aspire to be journalists. He's also active in the entire community. His golf tournaments have raised money for the Challenge Center, United Celebrate Posey, the Museum of Medical Science, plus others. And I know that tonight's gala is not only to honor Sylvan, but we're gathered to raise scholarship monies for qualified students who dream of a successful career in communications. This organization is an admirable organization. Why? Because it's filled with role models, men and women who are trailblazers, who not only make a difference in their profession, but like Sylvan, you make a difference in the community. Because of the commitment and dedication of this organization to provide mutual support for Hispanics involved in the gathering of news, in the dissemination of news, and for your efforts to promote the fair and accurate portrayal of Hispanics in the media. I'm therefore delighted to, on behalf of all Houstonians, present a proclamation honoring the Houston Association of Hispanic Media Professions, Banquet, honoring Sylvan Rodriguez, a man of valor. And that proclamation reads as follows. Founded in 1986 by a group of local journalists, the Houston Association of Hispanic Media Professionals was created to provide mutual support for Hispanics involved in gathering and disseminating news. Affiliated with the National Association of Hispanic Journalists, this nonprofit organization strives to encourage and support the study and practice of journalism and communication by Hispanics, and works to promote a fair and accurate portrayal of Hispanics in the media. The organization will host a special tribute to Sylvan Rodriguez on May the 14th, 1999. A caring, involved, professional, Sylvan Rodriguez has made many significant contributions toward the betterment of our community through his dedication and loyal service as an anchor and reporter on Channel 11. Sylvan began his distinguished career at Channel 13 in 1977, specializing in space and political reporting. He interviewed every president, from Richard Nixon to George Bush, and covered the beginning of the NASA shuttle program and the Challenge explosion. He has appeared on ABC World News Tonight with Peter Jenkins, Nightline with Ted Koppel, The David Brinkley Show, and Good Morning America. Sylvan Rodriguez has served enthusiastically, loyally, and professionally, earning the respect and admiration of those who have had the opportunity to know and work with him. He has earned numerous awards and accolades for his work, including recognition from the Associated Press and United Press. As the Houston Association of Hispanic Media Professionals honors Sylvan Rodriguez, a man of valor, the city of Houston is pleased to congratulate and commend him for his many significant contributions and achievements as a leader in our community. And therefore, I, Lee Brown, Mayor of the City of Houston, hereby proclaim May 14, 1999 as Sylvan Rodriguez Day in Houston, Texas.
I just wanted to thank the mayor. Wait a minute. I'm honored. But thank you. Please sit down. Minerva is my producer, and she said now's not the time to talk. I'm coming up later, but I did want to take the opportunity to thank the mayor and the city of Houston for this honor. And Minerva's going to yank me off the stage now, but I'll talk to you in a minute.
Thank you very much, Sylvan and Mayor Brown. Now we'd like to invite up to the podium the highest-ranking Hispanic in Houstonian politics, Ms. Sylvia Garcia. Por favor, acompáñenos.
Well, I think that the mayor has said it all, but I do want you all to remember what he said. He did introduce me as his good friend, Sylvan Garcia, and that was on the record. That is on the record. But really, we're here to honor Sylvan, and someone earlier said, well, what are you really going to say? And really, I think what really needs to be said is for you to just look around you and feel the energy and the camaraderie in the room. It really feels like a family reunion. It feels like when I go home to South Texas for a wedding or a festival or a quinceañera, where you just feel the family spirit. And Sylvan, I think this is what it's all about. This is your family. You're a part of us. We want to thank everybody who's here, and I welcome you and hope that you all have a great time. And I think the best thing I can say is that how can anyone not like Sylvan Rodriguez? He's kind of like that Sara Lee cupcake. Nobody doesn't like Sylvan Rodriguez. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for having us here tonight.
You are about to meet someone who knows our honoree in few ways that anyone can claim. Our next presenter grew up in Sylvan's hometown of San Antonio. He's known Sylvan for years and years and years and years, since they were little boys, and shares memories with Sylvan. And, of course, he's stuck by him through thick and thin. He's also a nationally known reporter and correspondent for ABC 2020. Please join me in welcoming Mr. John Quinones.
Thank you, Maria Elena. Thank you. Thank you all. Come on, please. Please sit down. All I want to know is, Sylvan, do you feel it in this room? Do you feel all the love here for you tonight? I mean, you can cut it with a knife. We have agreed that we're all going to collectively just will you back to that anchor chair, okay? You know, sitting there with Sylvan, I was reminiscing about the many times that he and I have been at many of these dinners. And right at about this time, you and I sneak out the back to avoid all the boring speeches and go find some real fun, right? But I'm telling you, buddy, don't do this tonight. Tonight, you have to stick with me. Growing up in the barrios of San Antonio, where Sylvan grew up, among the Pachuco gang members in our neighborhood have a wonderful word for their friends within those gangs. And that word is carnal. And it means, it's a beautiful, I love that word. It means, I mean, the more I think about it, it means carnal. Not like carnal knowledge or anything like that, but carnal. It's like the most intimate kind of friendship, as in a blood brother. And that's what Sylvan and I have had for so many years. It's a wonderful word, and I think that best describes us. We've known each other for, I dare say, 25 years, almost a quarter of a century. And we met in San Antonio when we were both barely out of our teens. I was a college student and a struggling radio reporter at a country music station. And Sylvan was already a rising star in local television. And I had this crazy idea of putting together a group of Hispanic journalists. So I called him up and out of the blue, and he was so gracious and so generous. And the following week, we got together, all the Hispanic journalists of San Antonio, all 4 of us, and, and we got together at a place called Jim's Coffee Shop. Remember that? Up on the north side of San Antonio. And looking around at you all in this beautiful crowd tonight, I can't imagine how far we've come. How in the world can I describe this man to you? How in the world can I describe our friendship? All I can say is, I don't know anyone else in the world that would compare to Sylvan. He embodies this rare combination of intellect, talent, street smarts, compassion, mischief, and humor. Oh, that Sylvan humor. Not long ago, Sylvan and Shelley and our families got together in Utah for a skiing vacation, and we had a wonderful time in the Rocky Mountains, amid the majesty of those mountains. And it wasn't long after that that Sylvan called me and with the news that he had this new mountain to climb, a mountain called Cancer. Immediately, I said to him, Sylvan, you and I have been through thick and thin. You and I have been through valleys of life and the mountains of life together. And you know what we do each time we encounter a big mountain like this. You know what we will do, expecting Sylvan to say, we will conquer that mountain. I should have known better. Sylvan says, what do we do when we encounter a big mountain like this, Johnny? Well, we call a cab and we go down to the ski lodge and we have a margarita. Remember? That's the humor of Sylvan. And the mischief, well, despite all the awards and all the accolades and all the beautiful talk that you will hear tonight about this man and what a great journalist he is, I know Sylvan. I know the real Sylvan. And I am here to tell you that he is what they call in Spanish, a sinvergüenzo. A man without shame. And anyone who has attended the National Association of Hispanic Journalists conventions would attest to this. Sylvan and me and a man named Maclovio Perez, who's with us sitting right at that table, are the 3 amigos, sort of like the Hispanic 3 musketeers at these conferences every summer. And at every conference, every year, we stage what has become a bit of a tradition for this little group of amigos called the Tejano Party, the Tejano Fiesta every week. And usually, I admit, it comes after we have consumed more than our share of tequila. And let me say, it turns into a sort of cultural and religious experience. And usually, a Mexican guitar is involved. Like, for example, the night in Los Angeles a few years ago, when long after everyone had gone to sleep at the conference, the 3 amigos decided that we would serenade the hotel guests with our favorite Mexican song at 4 in the morning. The problem is we were too, should I say, spiritually entranced to remember the words to our favorite song. So the only words we could remember were, y volver, volver, volver. And what the hell, we went for it all night. We were singing, y volver, 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 through the, I like that, through the halls of this beautiful hotel. Needless to say, hotel security was not very impressed with our cultural experience, and they threatened to call the cops. And as the day dawned in Los Angeles that morning, these 3 television personalities were being escorted to their rooms and told to go to sleep. That's part of the mischief of Sylvan Rodriguez. But then, of course, there's the other side of this man, the compassion of this great man, a man who can feel as comfortable talking to migrant farm workers in the Rio Grande Valley as he can talking to the President of the United States at the White House. We've had our fun at these conventions, but at every one of them, I have witnessed myself, Sylvan, spending hours and hours with these young, aspiring reporters, giving them advice, you know, reading their news stories, looking and critiquing their videotapes. In fact, if it wasn't for Sylvan, I don't think I would be standing here tonight. You may not remember this, but about 21 years ago, I had reached a crossroad in my life and in my career. I was a radio reporter right here in the city of Houston, and I couldn't get a job in television. No one would hire me because I had no experience. And I wanted desperately to break into television, but again, no one was hiring me. So I decided to apply to law school, and I did, to the University of Houston. And also at the same time, I applied to graduate school of journalism in New York at Columbia University. And I couldn't make up my mind, and as usual, I went to my big brother here for advice. And he said, John, I said, should I go to law school or should I go to journalism school? He said, John, where is your passion? He said, is it in law? And I said, well, not exactly, but I want to make a better living. He said, go with your passion, stay in journalism, everything else will fall into place. And I followed his advice, and thank God I did. I think I would have made a lousy lawyer, but I made a pretty good reporter, I think. You know, as a correspondent for 2020 a few weeks ago, I found myself on the border between Albania and Kosovo. I was doing a piece for 2020 on the refugee crisis. And standing there, I was stricken by the endless flow of 300,000 refugees through one little border checkpoint that kept coming through, this endless flow of humanity forced to leave their homeland. And I couldn't help but wonder about the unfairness of it all. You know, by accident of birth, some of us are born here in a place called America and enjoy all of its freedoms and its opportunities and all of its wealth. Others are born in countries like Yugoslavia, where at the whim of a dictator, little old ladies and tiny babies are forced to flee for their lives. And when it comes to our health, by some cruel genetic lottery, some of us are stricken by the challenges to their health. Others are not. And I keep wondering, you know, how unfair it is. But then I think of my friend, and I think of my friend who has never said, why me? He accepts this as just another challenge, another bump in life's road. And then he just picks up his sword and fights back. Sylvan, you remind me of Don Juan, who once said, the basic difference between an ordinary man and a warrior is that a warrior takes everything as a challenge, while the ordinary man takes everything as either a blessing or a curse. There is nothing ordinary about the man we salute tonight. Sylvan to that would say, chale no vale, right? The words hero and role model get thrown about rather liberally in today's society, but not here and not tonight and not from me. Sylvan, you are my hero. You're my role model. And in fact, the greatest compliment that anyone could ever pay John Quinones is that he reminds them just a little bit of Sylvan Rodriguez. That would be the greatest compliment to me. You know, thank you. There's an old Chinese proverb that says, if there is light in the soul, there will be beauty in the person. And if there's beauty in the person, there will be harmony in the house. Sylvan, I know I speak for everyone here tonight when I say to you, thank you for bringing your light and your beauty and all that harmony to our world. Gracias, carnal. There is so much more to say and so little time. But our good friend Walt Balleza from Channel 2 has put together a video tribute to Sylvan. Ladies and gentlemen, a look back at Sylvan's remarkable career.
In 1996, Cuban tourism brought in $1.4 billion.
Cha-cha-cha, Perico cha-cha-cha.
Here, Cubans can buy anything from simple musical instruments to Tiffany-style lamps. The first stations were planned by Stalin.
Sylvan Rodriguez, a man of valor. Valor in his profession, valor in his community, and valor in his life. For 30 years, journalism has been Sylvan's life. He started writing for several newspapers and the wire service while he was still in college. He was a reporter, a photographer, and assignments editor for KENS TV in his hometown of San Antonio. Then he moved to Houston as a reporter and anchor for KTRK TV Channel 13 in 1977. For the past 12 years, Sylvan has worked as an anchor for KHOU Channel 11. His work has taken him as far away as Russia in 1991, reporting on political change and unrest. More recently, Sylvan's trip to Cuba brought him to another land filled with turmoil. His coverage of Pope John Paul II gave a whole new perspective of how this change has given many Cubans hope. And as far as he's traveled, Sylvan has also been as close as Channel 11's kitchen. Now you'll have to ask him yourself where he sampled the best food. Journalism experts and his peers have called Sylvan the best many times, and his career is studded with awards for his on-air skills. He is celebrated especially for his reporting on politics and space. ABC offered him a job as a network correspondent after his coverage of the Challenger explosion. Sylvan has interviewed 4 presidents, including Presidents Reagan and Bush. And while a reporter often plays the role of adversary, Sylvan managed to make friends with many of his interview subjects.
Well, let me just reflect the feeling that the Bush family has for Sylvan Rodriguez. First place, we go back a long, long way. Sylvan has covered politics and news events in Houston for many years, and he has covered the things that I've tried to do for many, many years. First, professionally, I've always found him fair. He can ask tough questions in a penetrating way. You never think that there's going to be a sharp breaking curve that distorts what one says. And I've always respected his integrity as a professional in the media business. There are few like him. He's strong, he's sensitive, and he's very, very professional. Then on the personal side, and sometimes I guess it's dangerous to cross the lines between professional and personal if you've been in public life. But we've always had a warm feeling in our hearts for Sylvan Rodriguez. Barbara and I, well, he'll probably blush if I say this, but we feel like he's one of our sons. We know him well, we respect him, and we love him. Sylvan, while pursuing his career, always found time to help other people. He is a bright point of light. And there's no charity that he's not willing to help. There's no cause that he's not willing to identify with. He has his own favorites, of course, but the guy has reached out and helped the lives of many, many Houstonians, taking that position of prominence and prestige that he has, but using it to benefit others. I keep saying this, and I'll say it again. There can be no definition of a successful life that does not include service to others. And Sylvan serves others. We wish him well.
I can't tell you how proud I am to be considered a friend of Sylvan's. We've known each other for a long time, and I guess he looked at me as one of his quote, space heroes when he got to Houston, and I looked at him because he was a celebrity on television. Got to know Sylvan and got to like him very much, I guess, through his coverage of the space program and other events. But the thing I found most striking about Sylvan is the fact that he cared for other people, particularly young people. And he wouldn't call me up and say, Gene, I've got a thing for these young kids. Can you be there? Can you sign this? Gene, we've got a charity golf tournament for these poor kids. Can you play golf? Can you spend some time with us? It always struck me as I got a call from Sylvan. It wasn't like he was putting the arm on me, but he had a way of telling you he believed in something very strongly. And it was contagious because you found yourself believing it as well. And that's why I believe so strongly in my friendship with Sylvan Rodriguez.
Some of my favorite memories of Sylvan are not from the workplace, but from our friendship. We would often have family dinners together. We'd play tennis, and on at least 2 occasions we went fishing. One was quite memorable, at least for Sylvan. One early morning we were tied up to a stump on Lake McQueen. I had bought a 10-foot aluminum boat a few days before and had not put any registration numbers on the front. As Sylvan and I were fishing, a game warden sped by, only to slow down and turn in our direction. I told Sylvan that I was in trouble because of the lack of numbers on the boat. The warden pulled alongside, drew his leg over into our boat to anchor his boat to ours, and immediately recognized Sylvan and started a friendly chat. He asked the usual questions that we get from the public about working on TV and then said, "Well, I noticed you don't have any numbers on this boat, but I'm not going to write you up this time. Just show me your fishing license and I'll be on my way." I showed him mine, but Sylvan didn't have a license. So the warden gave him a ticket and Sylvan had to pay a fine, all because I had no numbers on my boat. Sylvan, I hope you've forgiven me by now, but I know you'll never fail to buy a fishing license. Good luck and God bless you.
How do you talk about somebody for whom you have the utmost respect? Where do you start? Maybe you start by using the word professional. That's it, professional. The best there is at what he does. When Sylvan came to 11, I knew him by reputation only from his years over at Channel 13. In the years we have worked together, we have shared many big stories and we have told each other many little fishing lies. And I would like to think that each of us has made the other a little better, maybe at what he does, both at work and out there on the bay. Now, I know Sylvan is someone who desperately cares about his craft, about his profession, but still has time to give a great deal of himself to his family and to his community. I have worked with a lot of very good people during my 30-plus years in Houston television. None better, none more dedicated than Sylvan Rodriguez. And I consider myself honored to be included among his colleagues and, I hope, among his friends. Sylvan, the Specs are eating everything they're throwing at them these days. Let's go after them. We're all pulling for you, my friend.
Yeah, I remember Sylvan Rodriguez. Whatever happened to him? Hi, Sylvan. How are you doing? Yeah, Sylvan and I were office mates. We shared a small office here at Channel 13 Eyewitness News for quite a while, and as you can see, Sylvan, I'm still a pack rat. I haven't thrown anything away. Sylvan, we had one television monitor in our office, and Sylvan always controlled what channel we were watching. Sylvan, you'll be glad to know now I'm sharing an office with 4 other people, and I don't ever get to touch the TV again here either. We really miss you over here, Sylvan. I wish you the best and hope the world for you, and give me a call sometime.
I've known Sylvan since I first got started in this business, and I say that because at the time he was here at Channel 13 and was one of the first people to come up and offer to help me out. He was always available when I needed somebody to look over my script or give me some suggestions about stand-ups and the like, and he has always been that way. Even when he left us and went over across the street, he was the consummate competitor, certainly the consummate professional, but he also remains, to this day, the consummate gentleman. He just has the biggest heart I can imagine, which is why you won't find a single person in this city who has ever competed against him who has a bad word to say about him. He's just one heck of a terrific guy.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad I could take part in this tribute to Sylvan. I'm very honored to be asked. You know, I'm sure you'll hear many others talk about what a wonderful guy he is and how much of a difference he's made. I'm going to leave that to people who are more eloquent than I. What I'm going to do is give you the scoop. Working so closely with Sylvan, or Slick, as I refer to him on a day-to-day basis, I have some great inside stories. For instance, any Young and the Restless fans out there? Okay, don't be shy. Really, there is nothing wrong with being a soap opera fan, because Sylvan is. I'm serious. YNR comes on right before 11 News at noon, and Sylvan is hooked. And to prove it, you need to ask him to do his Victor Newman imitation. YNR fans know who he is, but if you don't watch YNR, he's the patriarch of the show. Sylvan does a dead-on imitation, so ask him. Computers, forget it. Sylvan is usually in a fight with his, and since my office just happens to be next to his office, I'm often called in to mediate. Hope he's been taking this time off from work to hit the books and learn about this Windows thing, or else I'm going to have to start charging a consulting fee, Slick. Okay, enough of that. I am pleased and very proud to work beside Sylvan, who has helped me get my feet wet in this Bayou City. He has been, to borrow a cliche, a fountain of information about Houston, Texas, and the news biz. Hurry back, Slick. The office next door is too quiet without you.
I knew about Sylvan Rodriguez long before I ever got to work with him, but in 1980, when I joined ABC 13, it sort of became natural that Sylvan and I were paired on many stories because our backgrounds were very similar. We'd come from Austin and San Antonio and the University of Texas, so we both love politics too. And Sylvan covers politics. I cover politics. Sylvan, in my experience, got the better end of the deal because he got the Republicans and President Bush, and I covered the Democrats, who lost a lot back in those early years. Sylvan covering space, he'd be at Cape Canaveral, I would be at the Johnson Space Center. We had lots of memories going back in those early years of the 80s when he was here at Channel 13 as well. And I think that's what makes him so special. He has this ability to be honest, to be genuine, and I think that's why the public loves him so much, because he's theirs and they can identify with him. And they feel like maybe he's returning some of the love they send his way.
It's no secret to the people who know me that my hero and role model is Dan Rather. He's the guy who inspired me to pursue a career as a television reporter. But on the local level, I also look to guys like you and Bill Balleza. From my perspective in college, it was great to see you anchoring, Sylvan, to see you succeeding where few Hispanics had ever been before. It was a source of pride, and at the same time gave me hope that one day I could also follow in that path. Over the years, news people have discussed what makes an anchorman great. It in some way boils down to be incredible and trustworthy in delivering the news. Newscasters also have to bond with the viewers, and Sylvan, you've been a master at that. That's why this tribute to you is so appropriate. For me personally, I had a sense of family watching you, sort of like watching a smarter older brother that you can look up to. Sylvan, you also bring to mind the legendary actor Jimmy Stewart, because like Stewart, Sylvan, you have the talent to project your all-American average guy who yet manages to rise to the occasion no matter how challenging. And people love that. People love to cheer for the good guy, the hero. And Sylvan, that's you.
Families can tell you when you're doing something right, and families can tell you, can be very honest when you're doing something wrong. Sylvan and I have that kind of relationship. He will sit down and be my counselor during some very difficult times. There has not been a time in my career that I have not made a decision without going to Sylvan. At the same time, though, I'm the little guardian angel that sometimes sits on his shoulders at various functions, various parties, and will whisper in his ear, that is so-and-so. And there have been times that I pull rank on him and I become the big sister and say, I didn't like that, or I don't think you should do that. And we compliment one another. You know, family members, you love them, and sometimes you don't like them, but they're always there for you. And Sylvan has always been there for me, and I certainly hope he feels the same way.
Over the years, Sylvan has helped many community and professional organizations. He has selflessly given of his time to countless service and nonprofit groups, lending his celebrity and his skills as an MC to help them gain notoriety and to earn money for their causes.
You know, there was this core group of news people who organized the local chapter of the National Association of Hispanic Journalists, and a key member of that group was Sylvan. You know how it is when a bunch of smart Hispanics, and that's all of us, get together? Nobody can agree on anything, everybody has an opinion, and everybody wants to be heard. But we all agreed on one thing, and it was Sylvan who kept us on track. And that one thing was education for our Hispanic kids. An education that would assure success in the field of communications. An education that would increase the number of Hispanics in news. I don't know, maybe it's coming from South Texas. Those of us like Sylvan who came from there know that the way out of the barrio and then to give back to it and make it a better place is education. And that quite simply is Sylvan's vision.
Sylvan is a longtime member of the National Association of Hispanic Journalists. He has served as broadcast panel expert on many of our national conventions. He also serves as the Space Center board member, and I asked him as NAHJ coordinator for our year 2000 conference in Houston if he could possibly set that up as a venue for us for our national conference. Sure, no problem, he said with his usual enthusiasm, and set up a VIP tour for us. Sylvan has been a role model, mentor, and friend to many of us. Sylvan, our love and support are with you always.
There's so many things to say about Sylvan that especially reflect his generosity of spirit and his enthusiasm for every undertaking. He is a joy and a very unusual, because with Sylvan, what you see is what you get. I feel especially fond, I think, because Sylvan and Shelley met at a Tourette event that Shelley chaired about 6 or 7 years ago. And ever since that moment, Sylvan has really embraced our organization wholeheartedly.
Not too long ago, something amazing happened. A bunch of Sylvan's television buddies got together at a party designed to let him know how much they loved him. Well, it was an incredible party, brought about by an incredible man. People who compete against each other day in and day out, who might assemble to celebrate something with co-workers at their own stations or perhaps participate in some community event, turned out by the dozens to see Sylvan, to touch him, and to let him know how he had touched them. Everyone there said they had never seen so many competitors in the same room at the same time, united behind one thing: their desire to let Sylvan and Shelley know they care. Sylvan's family from San Antonio came in to make the celebration complete. And while his family members were meeting some of Sylvan's friends for the first time, they felt the warmth of those friendships, full of long histories and cherished moments. As you can see, Sylvan has created this groundswell of goodwill. It is almost palpable. Everywhere we go, we hear how strong he is, how revered, how brave, how tenacious. Well, Sylvan truly is an inspiration, an example, a positive force. He has accomplished so much in his life, but what he is accomplishing now will set off good vibrations for generations. We all hope to take comfort in that, in our love for Sylvan, our colleague, our good friend.
It has been 20 years here in our hometown of Houston, Texas. You, the viewer, have been kind enough to allow me into your homes to deliver the news. It has been 2 decades filled with incredible adventure and unbelievable opportunity. From seeing the first space shuttle land right down the center stripe when scientists weren't even sure if the heat tiles would stay in place, to visiting Cuba as the last dictator met with the freedom-crusading Pope. Along the way, I've met some of the brightest minds, some of the warmest and kindest people. I am now about to tackle a new assignment. It will be the toughest assignment of my life, a battle with cancer. That word cancer has a way of evoking only bad connotations. It's one of those words in the English language that just seems to get caught up in the throat. I know you or someone you love has, in all likelihood, had to deal with this unholy disease. Well, now it's my turn. I have a rare form of cancer called neuroendocrine islet cell carcinoma. It is a mouthful. It is a cancer of the pancreas, which is now metastasized to the liver. The good news is the doctors say it often responds to treatment. This reporter will be away for 2 months on this new assignment. Already the love, the support, The prayers have been overwhelming. I feel I'm going into this new challenge well equipped, this time not with paper, notepads, background, typewriters, or computers, but with faith and support from a community that has always been there. See you in a couple of months.
All right.
John.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this truly is a man, obviously, we hold in the highest of esteem, a man dedicated to his community and to his profession. Sylvan, in deepest appreciation and respect, we honor you knowing it will be an inspiration to us, to our children, and to our children's children. I present you this award. Ladies and gentlemen, Sylvan Rodriguez.
Thank you very
Sylvan,
much.
you want to know, what do you want to know? Do they
Well,
know?
I asked John, do they know our favorite song? Volver, volver. They may know all the words.
They know all the words.
Mariachi Azteca, ladies and gentlemen. Please have a seat, please.
Amor
You know what this means? You know what this means, Sylvan? We expect you to volver to the 10th annual Sylvan Rodriguez Scholarship Dinner and the 20th annual Sylvan Rodriguez Scholarship Dinner, okay?
So that's how that song goes. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know where to begin, but I'll probably begin by defending myself a little bit. What a wonderful tribute tonight. I want to thank John for that revealing speech. John, there was another word, or two words that we referred to ourselves. Back in the barrio of San Antonio on the west side, vato loco was the word. I mean, we were all vato locos. That means kind of crazy people. Truly an honor to be here. Words are hard to come by. But I will tell you a little bit more about some of these stories that you heard tonight. For instance, the one in L.A. That John told at the Hispanic Media Conference, the national conference. It was really hilarious when we did get kicked out of Maclovia's room by the LAPD after they had warned us 3 times to keep the noise down. So we thought people dancing on the beds would make less noise. Didn't work. So we bundled up the guitars that we had, and a fellow named Rico Chacon from San Francisco, Rigo. And he knew all the words, and he was a great singer. And we decided to head down to the lobby. Well, imagine this. Here are about 20 Hispanics with guitars and music singing down the lobby. There was a young lady and a piano player in the lobby. They saw us coming. They closed the piano, picked up the music, and left. And we took over that night. You know, I've been sitting right here in front looking at this picture behind me of this fellow with all the teeth and all the hair. Well, I still have all my teeth. But you know, when my hair began to fall out, I decided to shave it. And I was real worried because if you have hair, you don't know if your head is round or not. Think about it. I was concerned. What if it slopes back? What if it comes to a point? If I remembered Yul Brynner, the king, and I stood in front of the mirror like this and realized I did not look like Yul Brynner. Kind of more like Mr. Clean without the earring. All right, I have to defend myself against Bob Rogers. Bob Rogers, news director for how many years, Mac? 30 years in San Antonio, a legend. Developed one of the strongest newscasts in the history of broadcasting at the CBS affiliate there. And Bob was responsible directly for me going into broadcast journalism. Out of the University of Texas, I was a print journalist. And he had called me in college and said, I want you to come and work for me. And being young and brash, I said, Bob, I'm a serious journalist. I'm a print journalist. But remember, this is back in 1971. Local television news was not anything like it is today. In fact, they took photographers who had very little experience with silent cameras, and they followed ambulances, and that was local news. And then there was 12-star final that Dennis remembers. They would put music behind the accidents and be as graphic as they could. Journalism was very different back then. One quick story about Bill Goodspeed, who was a photographer for the Express and News, for which I worked for a period of time in San Antonio. He had this old box camera, and it took some time to set it up. And he was traveling down Woodlawn Avenue one day, and he came upon an accident where this fella had been working under his car, and the jack gave way, and the tire was right on his chest. Well, cars back then were a lot lighter than they are now, and about 4 buddies were about to lift it off. Bill says, hold on there. I need that picture. His buddies held on, and he got an award-winning picture. He really did. But back to Bob Rogers, who hired me and convinced me to go into television. He called me in Washington, D.C., when the newsletter organization for which I worked had folded, and I was back to stacking cans in a grocery store, and had this degree from the University of Texas, and was back in the grocery store. So he called me, and I said, Bob, gosh, I don't know if I want to go back to San Antonio and start television. And then he called my mother in San Antonio, and through a little parental persuasion, I was convinced to go back to San Antonio and try television, and of course I've fallen in love with it ever since. It's been wonderful to me. It's been more than I've ever expected from any profession, and I'm very blessed to have tripped into this business, so to speak. Before I go any further, I wonder if you'd give a big round of applause for that video tribute that was just, in my mind, in my opinion, excellent, the finest I've ever seen. And I'd like to have the people responsible stand, if they would. Walt Balleza was the producer, partly the writer, did just about all of the interviews, took time out from his personal schedule because he was not given time on his professional schedule to do this. And he has spent countless hours and hours doing it. Walt, my friend, thank you so much. I'd like to recognize Alex Luster. Alex, if you would stand up. Editor who spent an entire weekend, 18 hours out of one weekend, just to bring, you can imagine, this incredible amount of video from so many different sources together in that beautiful, wonderful tribute. Alex, thank you. Dina Marks from Channel 2, a producer who is a dear, dear friend, and helped write the script with Wally and of course, Bill. And Dina, where are you? I know I saw you earlier. Oh, she's behind the screen. There she is. And finally, my good friend, my colleague, Bill Balleza, for all the hard work and voicing it over. I thought it was just an excellent, professionally well-done tribute. Thank you. So many people I have to thank. It's very difficult. but I have to defend myself one more time. Lisa Ferranda, my co-anchor, who had those lovely things to say about my soap opera addiction. Well, the truth is that we have to wear an IFB 10 minutes before we're on the air. We do the noon show, so 10 minutes before we're on the air, The Young and the Restless are on. And if you've ever watched any little bit of a soap opera, 10 minutes is way too long to learn everything that happened in the last 50 minutes, right? And one day, Lisa, through all her charms, convinced me on the air to imitate Victor Newman. And it just came out. I am Victor Newman. Do you understand me? My teenage son said, Dad, you really didn't do that, did you? I did. What wonderful tributes I've had tonight. I'm honored, I'm touched, I'm pleased that we've raised so much money for future scholarships. I believe, have always believed, that the future is with our young people. Some of us, John Quinones, myself, our contemporaries, have ridden the crest, have ridden the wave of a wonderful span of journalism that has taken us from film days and tape editing, where you actually used a piece of tape to put the film together. And as an anchor, it was an adventure because, I guess every week, 2 or 3 times a week, that film would break. And so you really had to ad-lib and dance on stage. It was an incredible experience at the beginning. We went to what they call mini cams, which were about 2 or 3 times bigger than the film cameras we were using. But of course, that allowed us to enter the world of electronic journalism. That allowed us live shots from anywhere in the world. It was at that point that local television news began competing with national newscasts in terms of bringing you stories not only from your community, but from around the country and often from around the world. So I have been blessed to be part of one of the most exciting professions that I can think of in my time. And once again, I just sort of fell into it because of Bob Rogers. It's been an incredible journey for me. And now, like you've heard, I have a new challenge. It's called cancer. And once again, I've been blessed. So many people in this community have come forward with cards and letters, well wishes, prayers, masses, novenas, rosaries, prayer groups, you name it, that I told my mother in San Antonio, who of course is very worried. I said, Mom, with the army of well-wishers we have and the prayers going for us, there's no way we're going to lose this battle. No way. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We don't know why things happen to us. God knows. But we're just not smart enough to figure it out. But it seems that down the line, maybe it's 20 years, and maybe it's even longer, and all of a sudden it becomes clear. So that's the attitude I have. There's a plan at work here. I just haven't figured this out yet. But we're continuing the fight. An update on my condition. We have a long ways to go. We had some chemo this morning. In fact, it was an injection that they did right here, and it's hard to sit down. But it's tolerable. I tolerate it very well. For the most part, I'm very healthy. I have energy. I haven't really had the nausea, the upset stomach that is associated with chemo. So I feel very strong. One doctor said, Sylvan, you don't look like a man who has cancer. And I don't feel like a man who has cancer. Sometimes I think those CAT scans and the x-rays are all a mistake that, they switched them. Somewhere in the hospital, they got switched. But they are mine, They're not pretty, but I have such a strong family. My lovely wife, Shelley. My 3 children and my 2 stepchildren behind me all the time. So strong. If you saw the piece that aired on Channel 11 last week, you could see the strength of those young kids. Really strong. I'm so proud of them. And included in that family is all of you, the entire Houston community, the entire Galveston community, people from all over the country. My friends, I thank you for honoring me, for paying tribute to me tonight, and your strength will keep me going. God bless you. This is how smart I am. I saw this on the pedestal there. I thought, what a beautiful ice sculpture. Why doesn't it melt?
Well, hard to top, and we wouldn't even try. But we do have honors to dispense of tonight, and they involve some very young and talented scholars who are following in our footsteps.
That's right, John, and Sylvan would be the first one to tell us that tonight is more than a night to honor him. It's also a night where we're putting the money we've raised to good use. We're actually giving the money that you've donated to some very deserving students. And to help us do that, we have some local celebrities who can serve us as inspiration to our scholarship recipients. Please come up here as we call your names. Let's begin with HAHMP's past president, David Medina of Rice University, and recipient Miriam Garcia.
Okay, we also have Houston Chronicle Assistant Managing Editor Fernando and Scott Elmore.
Channel 13 anchor Bob Boudreau and Christopher Cardenas.
A surprise presenter, Shelley Secula and Guadalupe Valencia.
Channel 26 anchor Jose Grinan and Robert Wood.
Channel 45 anchor Beatriz de Alvarado and Marisa Lopez.
Channel 11 anchor Lisa Foronda and Alicia Barker Aguilar.
Channel 48 anchor Marcelo Marini and Dan Olivares.
Channel 13 reporter Elma Barrera and Elisa Virgani.
Channel 2 photographer Walt Balleza and Frank Espinosa.
Will each presenter please tell us who your recipients are?
Miriam Garcia is a journalism major at the University of Houston and will graduate next year. She believes our society is privileged to have freedom of the press and that without newspapers, she believes that the meaning of a true democracy would be eviscerated. Miriam Medina.
Look out, Steven Spielberg. Scott Elmore is hot on your trail. His goal is to write and direct dramas and documentaries. Scott graduates next year from the University of Houston. Scott.
Buenas noches, damas y caballeros. Es un honor grande estar aquí y decir muchas gracias y bien hecho a mi amigo Sylvan Rodriguez. Gracias. You young people here tonight are in the presence of pioneers, and those of you getting scholarships or who hope to get scholarships in the future, remember this night. Folks like Sylvan, Balleza, Elma Barrera. These are the people who helped make it possible for you at a time when a lot of folks didn't want Hispanics to succeed in the media. They have worked beautifully under the spotlight. And the scope of what they've done is incredible. This young man is going to do incredible things as well. Christopher Cardenas is heading out west when he graduates. He's going to the University of Southern California. The scope of his studies yet to be determined, but ladies and gentlemen, he says maybe he wants to start his own magazine. So let's wish him well. Christopher Cardenas.
Buenas noches. Hablo poco español, pero estudiando español a mi trabajo. So that's it. Hi. Alicia Barker Aguilar will call Princeton University home this fall. That is so amazing. Well, right now, though, she's writing a one-woman play about a teenager with AIDS, and she plans to perform it someday. So she has researched this topic by visiting AIDS chat rooms on the internet and talking with teenagers who actually have this disease. So congratulations. Alicia Barker Aguilar.
I'm very honored to be here tonight, and I'm actually pleased to fill in for Linda Laurel. She, of course, had to join Bill Balleza in doing the news this evening on another station. This evening, we're presenting a scholarship to a young lady named Guadalupe Valencia, and she believes that education is power, and indeed it is. Right now, she's lending her voice to KXYZ, right? KXYZ Radio Única in the morning traffic reports. It's a Spanish-speaking radio station. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. Her goal is to someday work for Univision. Guadalupe is a sophomore at the University of Houston. Congratulations, Guadalupe.
Hello, I'm Beatriz de Alvarado with Univision Channel 45. Hola, Sylvan, querido amigo, ¿cómo estás? The truly great men and women that I've ever known in my life are the truly humble and wonderful to share time with. And that is Sylvan Rodriguez. I couldn't stop saying that. Los más grandes hombres son los más humildes y los más maravillosos para compartir. Gracias, Sylvan. Te conozco hace tiempo y ha sido un honor conocerte. Y ahora algo en español. To get really Mexican, ¡viva Sylvan Rodriguez! All right. ¡Que viva! Muy bien. Now let me get to business here. What a wonderful opportunity to be able to honor someone of the stature of Sylvan Rodriguez and at the same time, in the same night, be able to get these young men and women the opportunity to get ahead and take our jobs one day, which I'm accepting right now. And Marisa will be probably one of them. Marisa Lopez makes our debut as a Texas A&M University freshman this fall. Her voice won her already a spot in the working announcement team of Klein Forest High School. This past year, she plans on using that to her advantage as a broadcast journalist one day. Ladies and gentlemen, Marisa Lopez.
Muy buenas tardes, yo soy José Griñán de Canal 26 y tengo un orgullo de estar aquí con ustedes y estar en el mismo lugar con el señor Sylvan Rodriguez. No, gracias a usted, señor. Sylvan has paved the way for many folks in this community because they've watched him. He's paved the way for folks in San Antonio. He's paved the way for a young man who doesn't want to go into news, but he wants to go into sports. And that young man is Mr. Robert Wood. Years of playing sports just may have convinced him to pursue a career as a sports reporter. And then he got a summer internship at Channel 2. And once he finished that, he knew what his calling in life was going to be. So I'd like to say congratulations to Robert, who is a student at the University of Houston right now, and you're going to hear great things from this guy. Mike Adamley, Greg Gumbel, look out. Here's Robert Wood.
Muy buenas noches. Buenas noches, Sylvan. Marcelo Marini from Telemundo to honor another beautiful student. Gracias, Sylvan, for tonight. Dan Olivares is a media production major at the University of Houston, and this summer he will direct projects at the media services department there. When he's not at school, he can be found doing stage lighting at several places around town. Señoras y señores, con mucho orgullo, otro joven que va a seguir nuestra carrera, el señor Dan Olivares.
Buenas noches. And Sylvan, I love you. Elisa Bergani really needs this scholarship, and she really deserves this scholarship. I wish I could read her whole bio. I want you to know that this woman has been so independent for so long, working her way through life. That was just what she was dealt, and she's done a wonderful, marvelous job. And very, very quickly, I just want to tell you that at Channel 13, we have interns. Interns who come in saying, I want to be an anchor. Never mind being a reporter first and learning the role. I want to be an anchor. She didn't say this. She just does her job, gets her tapes going so that she can apply at different stations when she graduates from the University of Houston next year. So I was in a bind. I was in a hurry. I didn't have time to look through the tape, and I gave it to her. She did it, and she gave it to me, and throughout the story, you know, she was right there trying to help me. She's done that several times. Other interns, we tell them, go do this, because we're in a hurry, and they say, well, what's the story? Because they have to accumulate real good stories for their, you know, for whatever they're doing whenever they graduate. She didn't ask, she just did it. So she's going to be a great success, and I'm very happy to present this scholarship to Elisa Bergani.
And last but not least, let me get this out of here. Unlike other children, Frank Espinosa didn't watch cartoons after school. Instead, he enjoyed tuning into broadcast news. As a result, right now he attends the University of Houston and writes for the school's newspaper, the Daily Cougar. But you know what? Like Sylvan, he might actually become one of us. You know, you like broadcast news, perhaps maybe we can convince you to come to our side of the fence. Okay, so I'd love to present this to Frank Espinosa on behalf of the HHMP and Chairman of the Scholarship Committee and the entire membership. We're very proud of you, Frank.
Felicidades, jóvenes. Let's have another round of applause for our 1999 HAHMP scholarship recipients.
All right.
Felicidades y muy buena suerte. Y a la chica que quiere trabajar en Univisión, me pienso retirar en 10 años para estar con mis hijas cuando sean teenagers. Así es que si quieres empezar a prepararte, en 10 años te doy mi trabajo.
Well, we couldn't conclude this special evening without acknowledging Bill Meek. As you've read in the program, Bill is the sculptor who created that beautiful original piece that we presented to Sylvan. He didn't take the responsibility lightly. He spent hours and hours researching this project and then toiled to craft a statue that symbolizes all of Sylvan and, of course, all that his work has stood for. And he didn't stop there. He also wrote a beautiful description of what his work symbolizes. Mr. Meek, please stand so that we can acknowledge your efforts. Where is Mr. Meek? There he is. Thank you.
And Sylvan, it couldn't be ice in any way, shape, or form because ice is cold and your warm heart would melt it, so there's no way that that could ever happen. On a personal note, I would like to express my feelings for Sylvan. Our friendship goes back 15 years when we met at the National Association of Hispanic Journalists. It might be a little longer, 15, 16, 14, around there. And if there's one person that I always look forward to seeing every year in the conference, and don't get jealous, John and Maclovio, it's Sylvan Rodriguez. And I'd like to say that I did go to most of those Texan boy parties, and I want to defend Sylvan Rodriguez because it was John and Mac who were always the bad guys, and it was Sylvan who was the gentleman who always made sure that all the nice girls made it home on time, made it to their hotel room on time. I don't know what he did after that, but he was always there to make sure that we were safe and home fine. So
yeah, but you left at 3 in the morning.
No, that's not true.
Much beyond that.
John, please. Okay. Anyway, I want to say something to Shelly, who's walking around there. One of the things that I remember most about Sylvan, and this is why I look forward to seeing him so much, is his eternal smile and optimism that was so contagious. And Sylvan would always give me updates every year on his search for the perfect woman and for the house on the lake. And I was so happy to know that finally Sylvan found the perfect woman and the perfect house on the lake. And I congratulate you, and I wish you the best in your wonderful marriage with this beautiful woman. Did you know that he had been waiting for you for so many years? He really did. I know that all of you here from Houston want to honor Sylvan because of her journalistic career that has been really an example to so many. But I know Sylvan in a different way. I'm not from Houston. I've seen some of his work on ABC, so I can't say that I'm here to honor his journalistic career. I'm here to honor Sylvan, the man, the human being, the friend that I've known for so many years. And I thank you so much for your friendship. Gracias, amigo. Before we go, I'd like to thank John Quinones for letting me share a stage with him. Why don't you let me share a show with you on ABC?
Let's
Wouldn't that
do
be nice?
Wouldn't it be great? The first 2 Latinos on ABC.
Wouldn't that be nice? And also Bill Balleza, who had to go back to work. And thanks to all of you for making me feel welcome and so comfortable. I'd love to come back as soon as possible. If you invite me, I'm here.
Maria Elena, you and Noticiero Univision have an open invitation to come back.
Muchas gracias.
And finally, since I have the last word, I'd like to give another thank you to our guest of honor. Sylvan, we love you, and we are in awe of you and your courage. You know that we are with you every step of the way. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Buenas noches.
Gracias.
I'd just like to remind you that there is a silent auction, and it will close outside, right outside, and it will close at 10 o'clock, so you still have an opportunity. Buenas noches.
Access Houston was created by the City of Houston to provide services to support your right to have free speech in the mass media. It's the channel where you get to decide what will be on TV because you make the programs and you pick the times they will be aired. You could say, it's the channel that you change. Television is very expensive. In order for you to be able to make your own programs, Access Houston has camera kits and edit kits which are good enough for broadcast television and yet easy to use and affordable. We have a system now which uses 3/4 inch, high 8, and SVHS as production formats, and we edit up to Betacam SP. If you don't know anything about the technical aspects of TV production, we offer classes which quickly familiarize you with the basics of shooting and editing. And the operations checkout personnel are there to provide continuing support as you begin to use Access Houston equipment to make your own shows. However, if you want to concentrate on the content and have someone else operate the equipment, Access Houston's production department can provide a full range of production services to help you get your message on TV. Once your program has been completed, you can claim an airtime on a first-come, first-served basis from traffic and scheduling. Access Houston checks the tape for technical requirements, and we may call you if we think there may be a problem, but you are responsible for the contents of your program. Access Houston does not censor your program. The tapes and the air schedule are delivered on a weekly basis to the Municipal Master Control, where the signal is distributed to all the cable companies in the city. Access Houston is here to support you in your freedom of expression.